Welcome to Cedar City for the final regular season gymnastics contest for 3 teams from 3 different conferences. The MPSF, the MRGC, and the Big Ten all represented tonight as Southern Utah, San Jose State, and Iowa get set to square off. Hi everybody, welcome inside the AFEX. Spencer McLaughlin with you, joined by Megan and Maddie McBride. Not every day you get 3 teams from 3 different conferences with quite the showdown before they all have their conference championships next Saturday.
No, and it's cool because SUU and San Jose State have gone head-to-head 3 times in the last 2 weeks, which you don't see very often in the regular season. But it's really cool to see 3 different teams from 3 different conferences and just to see the level of gymnastics that they have to bring to the table tonight.
San Jose State has bested Southern Utah in each of those meets. They'll look to do so again tonight and also get the best of the Hawkeyes, who have been exceptionally strong over the last couple of weeks. But Southern Utah is welcome to be back at home. That's certainly the feeling for the Thunderbirds, Maddie. They have really not been in top form over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, they've had some struggles in the last few meets with some lower scores and one of their lowest scores of the season for the Thunderbirds. But being back at home, especially on a night like senior night where the team just wants to perform for the seniors and to really let them go out of this season and their career with a bang, I think the energy is going to be high. And if the Thunderbirds just focus on their gymnastics and do what they've been practicing, they're going to be just fine.
Southern Utah had back-to-back 197.125 scores on the road. That's a school record. Since then, they have had some stumbles and are now trying to capture that momentum as they look ahead to the MRGC championships next week. And Megan, you've got a high level of competition to go up against. Not every day a Power 5 opponent comes in against a couple of schools like this.
Right. All 3 teams are ranked top 30, I think. SUU is number 22 in the nation. Iowa is number 24. So they're very close in terms of competition and in how they've competed throughout the whole season. So I think it's going to be, we're going to go head-to-head with the team, and it's going to go down to who puts their best gymnastics out tonight.
San Jose State is the hottest team of the 3 that are here in Cedar City tonight. They have not been beaten on a gymnastics floor since mid-January. They've been on quite the run, and they'll have to bring their A-game, as they know, against the competition that they're facing tonight. But Maddie, that can lead to a very confident group when no one has been able to get you head-to-head. They're just outside the top 30 nationally with their NQS right now, so still room to grow. But anytime you can walk away winners week after week after week, it gives you a lot of confidence.
Yeah, that's a big confidence booster, and I think, they're just barely underneath these top 2 teams of Iowa and Southern Utah. They're right there, and I think the energy in here is going to be high for every team competing, regardless of, if they're coming from away or if they're the Southern Utah Thunderbirds. So I think just building off of that, we're going to have an exciting meet for us tonight.
And the meet will get started right after this, the first vault, and we've got 3 teams here tonight. Non-stop action coming your way after this on ESPN+.
Long time.
San Jose State and Southern Utah familiar with one another, but in come the Hawkeyes of Iowa, who put up some strong scores this year inside the top 25 nationally in their NQS under the direction of 19th-year head coach Larissa Libby, her 23rd on staff. She's helped lead the Hawkeyes to 21 consecutive NCAA regionals, and they are well on their way once again. And that number, Maddie, that you're often looking for, 196 and above, but as you start to look at regionals and going beyond that, perhaps getting to nationals, those scores have to start to tick up into the high 196s, probably into the 197 range.
Absolutely, and to qualify to nationals in your NQS score, you take your 3 highest home scores, 3 highest away scores, take off the highest score of those 6 scores, average the 5, and that's your NQS score. So the higher your home and away scores can be, the higher your average is going to go up. So definitely seeing above a 196 and getting into the 197 is what you're aiming for.
We talked about the rarity of having 3 teams from different conferences in the same place. It happens more than you might think. What doesn't is what you saw in Iowa's schedule a moment ago. The tie that they had against then 18th ranked Minnesota at home, 196.875. That's the second best output the Hawkeyes have put together this year. And that came back on January 27th. But they have been really strong, and there's some stiff competition in the Big Ten as well. San Jose State, meanwhile, it's just been a parade of W's. They don't know what it feels like to have a team outscore them, whether it's a dual meet or a tri-meet or a quad meet. They have been nearly unstoppable, and I have to imagine that gives them a lot of confidence coming into a tri-meet after a string of dual meets.
Definitely, and when you take a look at their scores, you see just how consistent they are, whether it's like the higher 195, the mid 196 range. You can see the consistency in their scores, which is how they're getting so many wins in a row, is they're putting out consistent gymnastics every week, week after week. And I think going into this meet, they should feel really confident confident in their gymnastics at this point in the season.
Southern Utah is hoping third time will be the charm against San Jose State in the tri-meet in Sacramento. They fell to the Spartans, and then they lost in a dual meet last week as well. And that is our first vault of the night, and it's started by Ellie Cachola.
Ellie Cachola does a great Yurchenko full. You can see on that vault just how high she got off the vault and just a tiny hop on the landing, so a great start for the Flippin' Birds.
And vault has been the weakest area for Southern Utah so far this year, and they would love to get off to a strong start in this first rotation. The Hawkeyes are on the beam, the Spartans are on the bars, and these events will be taking place simultaneously. We will keep you looped in all night long and report scores as they come in.
Looks like Iowa had their first beam up and had a nice series. San Jose had a fall on the blind paper, but is finishing strong.
This is Jerquavia Henderson on the beam for Iowa and Catherine Waymiller on the uneven bars for the Spartans.
Nice stuff dismount right there. So still a fall, but a good finish. We're going for the dismount on beam. A round off double back, which is a very difficult dismount. And she stuck it, which was beautiful. Great start for Iowa on beam.
Henderson has notched a 9-8 or above in 5 straight beam routines. May very well have another one right there.
That was a beautiful routine.
The next vault up is Haley Voltaggio for Southern Utah. A 9.775 last week.
Haley does another Yurchenko full. You can see how straight her body line was throughout that vault, and she had a little bit of a hop on the landing, but other than that, another great vault by the Flippin' Birds.
Southern Utah off their lowest score of the season in their dual meet with San Jose State that took place just 2 days after a quad meet in Sacramento. They have had one of the busiest schedules you will find in the country this year. Coach Baumann really wanted to challenge his team in their endurance.
Definitely. It takes so much endurance and mental stamina to compete just 2 or 3 days in a row. And so for the Flippin' Birds to be able to do that just shows a lot about their flexibility and their endurance as a team.
There's a look at Ariana Castrance, the Temple transfer.
There's a blind pull to Pachu. Beautiful. She has very clean lines into her veil. Going into that last cast handstand, just a little bit short. Double A dismount and a stick. Amazing routine from Ariana.
And unfortunately, a fall on the balance beam for Iowa. That is the vault of Kayla Pardue for Southern Utah. Getting some high 10s from her teammates.
Kayla Pardue does a Yurchenko 1.5. That is a 10.0 start value versus the 9.95 start value that you see from the Yurchenko full. You could see just how much height she had off of that vault table from her block. And she had quite a bit of power going into that landing, so she did take a step forward, but again, 10.0 start value, that gives her an advantage.
Southern Utah on the vault, a 9.825 so far from Ellie Cachola and a 9.8 from Haley Voltaggio. Back-to-back weeks, Cachola's earned a 9.825.
And that's exactly where you want to start a lineup. You want to start around the 9.8 range, and you're going to want to see those scores continue to build as the event goes on.
As we're looking at the bars and beam rotations, both teams have had a fall early on in the lineups, so we are looking for the rest of these athletes to hit their routines, stay on the apparatus, and hit high scores so they can stay up in that 49 range.
Caitlin Coe ready to vault for Southern Utah.
Caitlin Coe is another athlete that does a Yurchenko 1.5. Again, another huge Yurchenko vault, huge height off that block, very tight angles throughout that, throughout the vault, and just a small step forward. So it should be a great score for the senior.
Lauren McPherson on bars, hitting great angles, having a hit routine so far, just going into the dismount. Another stuck landing. San Jose is on fire with those landings on bars today.
Meanwhile, Jerquavia Henderson for Iowa has set our first career record score of the night. She earns a 9.925 on her balance beam routine.
Very well deserved score.
And Iowa's certainly going to need that after suffering a fall earlier. Kayla Pardue a 9.825 for Southern Utah with her vault. And Way Miller on bars for the Spartans of San Jose State, a 9.825. Castrance, a 9.775. There goes Rachel Smith in the top left corner of your screen.
Rachel does a Yurchenko back handspring full on, tuck off, another 10-0 start value. Did take a little bit of a step backwards, but another great vault by the Flippin' Birds.
Marissa Rojas on beam for Iowa. Had a triple series, a back handspring step out, back handspring step out layout. And nailed the landing. A solid routine for the Hawkeyes so far. And another fall from San Jose. Just pulled in a little close on that waiver. Did look like she hit her heels, and I know that is not a fun feeling.
Well, the energy in this tri-meet right now off the charts for every team on the floor. They are operating at each event independently of one another, as opposed to a dual meet where you have one event, a gymnast goes, and then everyone watches one at a time. Each event is operating separately from the other. And so each team has to bring their own energy even more so than usual.
Definitely. Especially when there's other things going on, like other teams competing, other teams celebrating. The energy is going to be flowing throughout the Centrum, and so you really have to focus on what your team is doing in the moment.
Carlet.
Finishing up her ball routine.
An excellent looking vault from Carly McLean. And she is the anchor in that first rotation for Southern Utah as we are breezing through. Thunderbirds with an exceptionally strong first rotation. Caitlin Coe with a 9.9. That matches her career high and sets a season high. Every score at 9.8 and above so far that we have seen. Zolke a 9.125 after falling off the balance beam for Iowa. You take a look at the scores there for the visiting teams in the bottom left part of your screen. And San Jose State and Iowa is still finishing up. And this is where the vibe changes and the mentality can change for gymnasts, because it's just not what you're completely accustomed to. It's much less structured, almost feels more like a free gym period.
Definitely, yeah. You don't see tri-meets very often in regular season. Usually it is the dual meet, and so it goes back and forth between the two teams. But with a tri-meet, if you don't want to stay here for 3 hours, you know, they want to keep every rotation going at the same time, just so it's not as long. So that can definitely be hard to keep the focus on your own team, because there is so much going on. But it's great for the audience because there's always good gymnastics to watch no matter what team you're looking for.
And that is an exhibition vault from Kennedy McLean, the younger sister of Carly, for Southern Utah, and that's something that a tri-meet allows for. Exhibition routines where gymnasts go out and perform, but their score does not count, and it cannot count towards the total.
Especially when they're having two other teams going, and vault is the shortest event of the night. They're going to have a lot of time to put as much gymnastics as they can into one event. So having an exhibition, especially for a freshman, is great because it gives them the experience to compete under pressure, but not so much pressure that their score counts in the top 6 scores.
We've got San Jose on bars following another fall. Did have a little hiccup on a pirouette, but going into the dismount. Again, another stuck landing. They've really been working on those.
For Iowa over on the balance beam, they have now notched 2 scores, 9.9 and above, as Marissa Rojas, off her lowest beam routine score of the season last week, in which she fell and had a 9.325. She's got a 9.9. Zolke does have a 9.15 after falling, and San Jose State will be counting a fall on the bars. We'll be keeping you informed as best we can throughout the night as all the action plays out. But Southern Utah, a strong start with a 49.2, not far off of their season high, headlined by a 9.9 from Caitlin Coe, matching her career high.
It really was a great vault from Kate Coe. Just a small step forward. And again, I'll say this over and over, but your Yurchenko 1.5 is a difficult vault, especially to find that blind landing where in a Yurchenko full you can kind of look for the floor and see where you're going to land. Just extra difficulty, and to get that high of a score is really impressive.
Alexa Solomon is our final gymnast to compete here in this first rotation for San Jose State head coach Joanne Bowers on the bars, looking for a strong routine as they'll be counting a fall. Jada Missouri an 8.975, Catherine Waymiller 9.025.
A huge ray connected to an amazing bail. She's going for a big dismount, double A. Just the smallest hop on the dismount. I think they stuck most of their landings tonight. So although they had to count a fall, really clean gymnastics from San Jose on bars.
Oh, Solomon, a good person to put in the anchor slot for the Spartans. She's had a 9.8 or above in all but one of her bars routines this year. And a gymnast up on the beam for Iowa.
Iowa has had a lot of difficulty in their beam routines. A few triple series and that round off double back dismount we saw from the first competitor. They have had to count a fall at this point, but you can tell that their level of difficulty is high and that their execution is really great. So they should be expecting really good scores even with those falls. Dismount, round off 1.5 with a stick. Really beautiful finishing routine for Iowa. Very beautiful Maloney to the bail from San Jose. Nice hit handstand there. And full double back. And another stick. Seriously, they're on fire tonight.
And this is the other interesting component of the tri-meet. The vault goes so much faster than the other two. Southern Utah has a strong first rotation. They complete it, but now they have to sit and wait for longer than normal as the other two finish up.
Yep. You'll see as we get further into this meet that beam and floor are definitely the longer of the two events. So there'll be a little less overlap when we've got those routines going. But yes, vault is for sure the quickest. So looks like we're having some fun down there though.
It's great going into conference championship with the tri-meet at home because they will have some of these wait periods as well during the MRGC championship next weekend. So it's great for them to get used to this waiting period in between events.
Oh, that final bars worker for the Spartans was Alexa Solomon. Milne before had a 9.725. So it's looking like a 48.3 for San Jose State in this opening rotation. And here's one of the best beam workers in the country for the Hawkeyes. Adeline Kenlin finished runner-up on this event at Nationals last year to none other than Auburn's Suni Lee. Not a bad person to finish second to.
Definitely not. And you can see she's just so smooth and confident in each skill that she does. It's all controlled. She had a beautiful front aerial to back handspring step out layout connection. Another difficult skill to have in a beam routine. Toe turn. Just so calm and controlled up there. Obviously a very experienced competitor. Cartwheel gainer full dismount. A little bit of chest down on the landing, but a stick nonetheless. She's very excited about that routine, as she should be.
Solid routine from the two-time All-American, and that rounds out our first rotation in Cedar City. Southern Utah, the early lead so far, still a long way to go. More action after this. You're watching College Gymnastics on ESPN+. Well, after their one of their better bars outings of the year last week in the dual meet win with Southern Utah, San Jose State has to count a fall, not just a 48.3. Iowa has to count a fall as well, and so they end up at 48.075. But the Hawkeyes, always interesting to see the strategies from the different coaches, and Larissa Libby started off with one of her stronger gymnasts and closed with one of her stronger gymnasts as well, and both of them delivered exceptional scores. We're still waiting from Kenlands. We expect that to be very high, but Jerquavia Henderson is really salvaging that opening routine for Iowa.
Absolutely, and I mean, as you mentioned, there are different strategies with different coaches, and there are many that work. It's not one size fits all, it's different for every team. So to start off with your strongest competitor and finish can allow for time to build into your lineups and get a really high score for that finishing routine.
And we have not seen Kenlan's score come in yet. Rojas and Nick with excellent scores as well, but Kenlan should be well above either the 915 or 9225. So that score not final for the first rotation. The other two are. And for Southern Utah, they've been really good at home. They lost here a couple weeks ago for the first time in about 2 years. And getting back here after a couple of stumbles on the road in which San Jose State was involved, and performing that well on the event that's really been their biggest Achilles heel this year at times until Beam in the last couple of weeks, has to feel really good for the Flippin' Birds.
Oh yeah, it's got to feel really good, especially for an event where they do tend to score lower. To have all 6 scores go above a 9.8, that's exactly where you want to sit in any event, but especially on an event where you tend to score lower. And so to start off with a 49.2 is so impressive for SUU, and I think they should feel really good as they go into their bar rotation.
The score came in for Iowa's Adeline Kenlan, and it looks from here to be a 9.95. And indeed it is. So 48.875. 3 scores at 9.9 and above for the Hawkeyes in that first rotation. 1 at the top, 1 in the middle, 1 in the anchor slot in Kenlan, really bringing up that score there right when her team needed her most.
That is just an amazing beam lineup, and I know they had to count a fall, but to have 3 9.9s amid that lineup with a fall even is really impressive, and to start off on being in this crazy arena right now and to have to focus and start off on what is most people's weakest event is really impressive to have all those high scores.
Kenlan with a season high to deliver for the Hawkeyes and keep them hanging around. A taller mountain to climb, though, for San Jose State. For this next rotation, the Spartans will be on the balance beam. Southern Utah goes over to the bars, and Iowa shifts over to the floor exercise. First team to head over there tonight. But San Jose State on the balance beam, which can certainly be tricky after having to count a fall in that first rotation. Have to imagine the focus for Joanne Bauer's team is to keep her team solid. Don't go for the home run or anything of that sort, but stay on the apparatus and don't have to count more falls.
Definitely. It can be hard to follow an event, especially where you've had to count a fall, but you really just have to move on to the next event, put what happened in the past and leave it there, and focus on just one skill at a time. And I think if the gymnasts continue to do what they've been doing all season tonight, focus on one skill at a time, I think they're going to have a great rotation.
Less than a minute away from beginning this second rotation. Southern Utah has been exceptional here on their home floor this year. Their loss came to Boise State. They put up their second lowest score of the year back on February 22nd. Boise State came in with a 196.525, beat the Thunderbirds by a full point. And this is not the last time Southern Utah will be in this gym this year. The MRGC Championships will be held here next Saturday, March 18th, featuring Southern Utah, Utah State, Boise State, and for the last time, BYU. But the Thunderbirds' attention right now on what's in front of them.
Yep, absolutely. It's 1 meet at a time, and then it goes further than that. One rotation and one skill. Just focusing, being comfortable, and just enjoying this meet, because it's a fun night to recognize the seniors and just enjoying every moment they have with them at this meet.
Sort of a half senior night for the Southern Utah seniors.
Yeah.
It's the regular season senior night, but it's not the last time they'll be in this building, which I'm sure they're very happy about.
Definitely. So, yeah, if you think the energy is crazy tonight here, just wait 1 week till this whole arena is full of fans from 4 different teams.
Well, the energy in here is palpable, and this is Catherine Waymiller beginning things on the balance beam. And a strong start to her routine.
Starting off first on beam is definitely a difficult position to be in, especially following a fall on the previous event, but looks like this gymnast is doing great.
Kate Coe for the Thunderbirds on bars, hitting an amazing routine so far. She's going into her dismount with a nice handstand. This is small hop backwards, such a great routine. The team's excited, the crowd's excited. Great start for the Thunderbirds on bars.
Coe, the good start. Aubrey Nick is on the floor here for Iowa.
You see an impressive pass there, front handspring, front laid out Rudy to a back tuck. It's a lot of extra bonus. And she's having the time of her life, if you will.
Why did I never think to have an ab on routine? This is great.
Just a great example of how well the teams and the gymnasts can bring the energy on floor, because they are an away team and they don't have their full crowd with them, but you know, the team on the side is bringing the energy for them.
Aubrey Schwartz on bars, second up. Hop grip to a Jaeger. Aubrey always has really nice lines. She uses those handstands. Going into her dismount. Really clean, line full, double back. Small hop forward, but great routine. Some really clean gymnastics for the Thunderbirds over on bars tonight.
The 2021 MRGC Freshman of the Year putting her talent on full display as the Spartans send Jade Lopes, the junior from Fairfield, California, up to the balance beam for their second go-around here in this second rotation. Scores have not yet started to trickle in. Lopes has not done beam each of the last 2 weeks. Last did so against UC Davis on February 24th. But Coach Bauer is feeling confident in the junior and putting her back into that lineup.
Up on beam, she had a beautiful switch side leap pass. Going into her series, beautiful triple series. You could see she started at the very front of the beam and ended at the very end of the beam. With a back handspring step out, layout step out. Over on floor, we have a front through to round a back handspring, double pike for her first pass.
And this is the freshman Hannah Castile you're watching on the floor.
And Mason Bentley on bars for the Thunderbirds. A massive bray into connected rail. Signature move from Mason. She's going into her dismount. Double leg. Awesome routine from Mason. She's very proud of that routine. Thunderbirds looking really strong for routines in.
Mason Bentley, one of those fifth-year seniors, gets a big round of applause on the bars for Southern Utah. And Castillo continues over on the floor.
Round off back handspring, double back for her second pass. Opened up a little bit early and took a step forward. But she should have gotten that front pass value on her first pass, so that was a two-pass routine from the Iowa gymnast. Up on beam, we have the third San Jose State gymnast going. She did what's called a whirl turn, not something you see a ton in NCAA gymnastics, but something you usually see in the elite gymnastics arena like the Olympics.
Another senior, Carly McLean on bars for the Thunderbirds.
Over on beam, a beautiful front aerial to a back handspring step out, layout step out series.
Carly hitting every one of her handstands. Handstands keeping her legs loose
Well, Southern Utah's got 3 strong scores on the uneven bars so far. A pair of 9.85s from Aubrey Schwartz and Caitlin Coe, surpassing the marks they put up a week ago in California, and an even 9.8 from the graduate student Mason Bentley.
And over on beam for San Jose State, we've seen 3 hit routines, so they're off to a great start.
And this is the freshman Bailey Libby on floor for Iowa.
A huge front pass. She did a front handspring front double full. That it does count as an E pass, which is one of the more difficult tumbling passes you can do on floor. Gets you a ton of extra bonus. Beautiful 1.5 front layout for her second pass. You can see how well that front layout out of that 1.5 twist floated, and that's exactly what the judges are looking for.
Shylin Murakami up on bars for the Thunderbirds. Probably the most awaited bar routine of the night as she hits a solid handstand into her eagle grip Jaeger. Just perfection. See what she does with this dismount.
Over on beam, we see another triple series from San Jose State. You can tell they're so confident on this event by the way they're just moving from one skill to the next. Just so smooth, so confident, exactly what you want to see.
And this is Lauren McPherson ending her beam routine in our top left box there. And Bailey Libby just wrapped up her floor routine for Iowa.
Another difficult skill on the balance beam, a standing layout step out, but it was a gainer, which makes it a little bit more difficult, adds a little more bonus to her start value. Round off 1.5 dismount, looks like she almost got that stick.
This lineup for the Thunderbirds is just loaded with senior competitors. We have Nikki Thomas, who had a beautiful Maloney to a pack. Just did a pirouette. Lining up for that dismount. Double leg. Just a step forward, but again, Thunderbirds are having clean routines and they've had above 9.8s for all the routines moving forward, and that's exactly what the Thunderbirds are shooting for.
Now, they have had some excellent scores, but the Spartans and the Hawkeyes are matching them punch for punch right now. On the beam, Kyra Cato, the freshman, has set a career high with a 9.9. Jade Lopes has garnered a 9.825. Way Miller has matched her for the Spartans over on the balance beam. A lot of high scores coming in left and right. This is Adeline Kenlin, who we saw notch that outstanding beam routine earlier.
You know, and that just goes to show the level of gymnastics we have here tonight. Just huge score after huge score, one after the other. You can see why they are ranked so highly in the nation.
Iowa number 24 with their NQS right now on the road to nationals. San Jose State number 32. Southern Utah the highest ranked to number 22 entering tonight.
Floor going into her last pass. Round off 1.5 front layout. And again, she had so much bonus from that front handspring front double full that she was able to do just a 2-pass floor routine. And she's excited about that, you can tell. And over on beam, finishing round off 1.5 with a step forward, but so far all hit routines from the San Jose State Trojans.
Exactly what San Jose State was looking for after having to count a fall in that first rotation. That saw them in third behind the Thunderbirds and the Hawkeyes to this point, but all 9.8 scores and above for Coach Bauer's team.
It can be tough following an event where you have a fall, especially when it's an event like beam where you want to bring the energy but not too much because you want to be calm and collected on beam, but they're doing a great job tonight.
Karina Munoz should be up next for Iowa on the floor. And the Hawkeyes out of the Big Ten have traveled a decent ways here to Utah, but are seemingly unfazed being on the road right now.
From what I've seen on floor tonight, they are putting out big tumbling passes with clean landings and great performances with their dance. We start with a huge double layout on floor. That is one of the more difficult tumbling classes you can see. It is an E skill, which just shows how difficult the skill is. And she performed it with ease, didn't even look hard.
Yeah, you got to get the right punch angle for that, and it is so impressive.
On floor, what you're looking for is amplitude in the tumbling passes, clean controlled landings, and of course you want to see the performance aspect of floor, because not only is it more fun to perform when you're having fun, but the judges are also looking for that performance aspect as well.
You see one of the teammates on the side getting the SUU crowd hyped up for this last pass.
Saw a front punch, round up back handspring double tuck for her second pass. And over on beam, I believe we have one of the last competitors for San Jose.
Another strong floor routine from Iowa. Rojas will await her score.
Over on beam, we saw a unique series. She went back handspring into an anoti, which is a back handspring with a half twist in the middle. It looks like she turned a little bit too early and dropped her shoulder a little bit to the right, so she did have a fall, but got back up with a beautiful leap pass, so we'll see how she finishes things up.
But the good news for San Jose State is they will not need to count the fall. 49.125 ahead of Madison Kirsch there as she finishes up. Way Miller 9.825. Emma Milne gets a 9.75. A pair of 9.825s from Jade Lopes and Lauren McPherson, and Kyra Cato sets her new career benchmark with an even 9.9. We've already seen a flurry of scores 9.85 and above so far through the first couple rotations.
You know, that's what you want to see at this time in season, because they have had a full regular season amount of meets coming up to this point, and so they are comfortable in their routines and they're comfortable in their gymnastics. So to see those 9.85s, 9.9s is not uncommon, but it's fun to see.
So after Karina Munoz went on the floor, it's Jerquavia Henderson's turn, who last week competed in her first all-around of the season. So far has taken the floor twice tonight for the Hawkeyes.
Wow, that was a huge double tuck full in. You could see just how much power she had just by her landing. She was stick straight, chest up on that landing, which is not an easy thing to do for a skill like that.
All of our jaws just dropped up here, no lie.
Beautiful leap pass, and from what I've seen on Iowa State on floor tonight is that with every gymnast, not only are they having fun performing, but it's just seeing the uniqueness of each floor routine and each gymnast is so fun, because this is the event where gymnasts can kind of let their personality shine. They can have a little bit more fun.
Well, Henderson has been scorching hot in the score department the last few weeks. A 9.925 and above each of the last 6 weeks with her floor routines, and she delivers another dazzling display right there to round out this second rotation. That may be the highest score we've seen tonight.
You can't see my face, but my jaw is dropped currently. That routine was amazing. Huge tumbling, great controlled landings. Altogether, huge floor rotation for Iowa.
Well, the Iowa fans who have made the trek here to Cedar City would like to see a perfect 10. There you get a look at the scores as we know them right now, and we will finish them up and give you the results when we come back. In Iowa gymnastics history, there have been 9 scores of 9.975 on the floor exercise, the best mark in school history. Jerquavia Henderson now owns 4 of them, as she has garnered the highest score of the night. And it was very well deserved.
Oh, for sure. Just the power she had going into that first pass was so impressive. I almost couldn't speak because it was just so beautiful. And that 9.975 just goes to show what kind of gymnast she is. Doing that week after week is so impressive.
She's had a 9.925 or above in 7 consecutive weeks now. One of the best in the country on the floor exercise, Jerquavia Henderson, and she rounds out with authority the second rotation for the Hawkeyes. That sees them earn the highest team rotation score of the night so far, a 49.4, not far off of their season high that they had back on January 14th in the Wasatch Classic against Cal, Oregon State, and Pitt in a quad meet. So Iowa 49.4 on the floor in that second rotation. San Jose State on the balance beam responds very well after a 48.3, which is the lowest team score we've seen so far, a 49.125, exactly what Coach Bowers was looking for from her team.
That's such an impressive bounce back because, like I've said a million times before, it's hard to bounce back from an event where you have to count a fall. And especially do that on beam, it takes a lot of mental fortitude for each gymnast to go up and focus on just one skill at a time. And from what I saw on beam from them is that every gymnast was calm and collected, and you could tell they were just focusing on the one skill at a time, focusing on doing their own gymnastics and keeping calm amidst all the chaos going with SUU on bars and Iowa State on beam. So they should be really happy with what they did on beam, but keep that in the past now and move forward to floor.
Meanwhile, for Southern Utah on the uneven bars, Shai Murakami, second straight week, she's notched an even 9.9 to lead the way for a 49.225. Off of their lowest score of the season, Maddie, Southern Utah has bested their scores in each of these first 2 rotations from the same rotations they had last week, and now they go on to the 2 where statistically they've been the strongest this year.
Yeah, they've really had such a strong showing on bars, and that 9.9 from Shai Murakami, for those of us who know her, are not surprised. And I think just moving forward into these next 2 events, just building off the energy and the momentum they've had in those first 2 events, and just settling into each of their skills, I think they're going to have a really successful beam and hopefully subsequent floor rotation.
But now Southern Utah heads over to the balance beam, which you look at the numbers over the course of the season and say, well, they're number 19 in the country. That has to be an area where they're feeling strong, where they're feeling confident. But they have been much higher compared to the rest of the teams in the country in that department. They have really been struggling on the balance beam, counting falls several times in the last few weeks, and now an opportunity to keep the momentum rolling and flush all that out with the conference championships looming.
Yeah, over the last 3 meets, they have had to count a fall or even 2 falls on the balance beam, which is tough because balance beam is an event that they are quite good at. But, on senior night tonight of all nights, when the energy is high and they have had a week to recoup from that tough weekend where they had to compete twice in 3 days, I think they had time to mentally prepare for this meet and to, focus on their skills one thing at a time all throughout practice and all throughout warm-ups tonight and hopefully during their 4-minute touch right now.
Well, we talked about the caliber of these programs that they bring into this meet. All of them in the top 30, San Jose State just outside of it, number 32 in NQS nationally at this point in time. How about this so far? Through 2 rotations, unless a gymnast has fallen, there have been just 2 routines or vaults that have been under a 9.8. That's remarkable.
It really is, and as Megan mentioned earlier tonight, at this point in the season, this is the kind of gymnastics you can expect from these teams. And it's been remarkable to be up here watching all 3 of these teams because they have really been excelling at every routine they put out, besides those that fall. But even then, it's still clean, it's still solid, and there was just a little fluke. So it's been a remarkable night of gymnastics tonight, and I'm excited for what's to come.
Southern Utah is in the lead at the moment, but still 2 rotations left. San Jose State is on floor. Iowa is over on the vault, and Southern Utah is on the balance beam. And you are taking a look right now at San Jose State's Michaela Gentry, the sophomore from Oklahoma City.
Opening with a big double touch.
Over on beam, we have Shylin Murakami doing a flick layout step out for her series.
In the top right corner, we saw Steph full from Iowa. Beautiful ball. That's just textbook.
That was the freshman Gianna Masella, one of 7 freshmen on this roster for 19th year head coach Larissa Libby. They've got just 9 upperclassmen in their top 25 program. A lot of young talent out there for the Hawkeyes.
Shylin Murakami going into her dismount, cartwheel gainer back full. Beautiful clean routine, just so confident. Very few wobbles altogether. Huge shot for SUU on beam.
Meanwhile, Gentry feeling confident on the floor. She set a career high each of her last 2 weeks.
Going into her last pass, double pipe. Great control. Really solid start for San Jose on the floor.
She had a 9.825 2 weeks ago. That was a career best. Then upped the ante in the dual meet with Southern Utah last week with a 9.875 and had a nice looking routine there. Back over to the vault. This is Chambers, Avery Chambers for Iowa.
Another 1.5 vault. Looks like she almost had that stick, just a slight hop to the side. But again, difficult vault. Really, really impressive to have that kind of control on a vault like that.
Next up on the beam for Southern Utah, it'll be Rachel Smith.
Rachel Smith is seasoned on this event. She is a 5th-year senior, and she has competed on beam, I think, for her entire career. So she is a great person to put up right after Shylin Murakami's 9.925.
Iowa has an opening 9.9 from Masella with her vault. That matches a career high.
We saw Rachel Smith. She went round off, back layout, step out. Looks like she was just a little bit off, but managed to stay on the beam with just a little wobble.
Cameron Paris here on the floor from San Jose. Iowa over on vault with another huge Uchenko full. You can see she flared out her arms to get that landing.
Over on beam, we saw Rachel Smith finish her beam routine with a round off 1.5 with maybe just a tiny hop forward on the dismount with that small bobble on her series. But other than that, 2 for 2 on beam for Southern Utah.
Paris here continuing with the great full routine.
There's so much going on in the gym right now, so it's just so impressive for every gymnast to be able to stay focused on the event that they're going on.
And what is that like when you don't have all the attention on you? Does it almost feel like you feel that pressure lifted because people have their eyeballs pointed elsewhere?
I don't know. I feel like it would be the same pressure, but maybe, yeah, less so because you know that there's so much else going on that maybe not everyone's watching you at the same time, but
I feel like it helps get you in the zone because it's just you and your team and you. There's so much going on, so it just kind of helps you zero in a little bit because there's so much you could focus on, but you can't, so you just have to be where you are. Very unique vault over from Iowa. Front handspring entry into the vault. Really clean vault, small hop. Genuinely very impressed.
Ellie Cachola up next on the beam, but Iowa is off to a blistering pace so far in the vault. That 9.9 from Masella and a pair of 9.825s from Hannah Castillo and Avery Chambers. So the Hawkeyes once again a strong showing here in this 3rd rotation of the night.
and I think it's worth mentioning that multiple times throughout the night, at least 3 that I can think of so far, we've had the first gymnast up on the event score a 9.9, which is very difficult because the first up, sometimes judges can be a little finicky with their scores, but to start off with a 9.9, very, very impressive, and we've seen that at least 3 times tonight.
Huge Lutsenko full from Iowa. Just slight pike down to get that landing. This tiniest hop, just dynamic vault, really great.
That was Karina Munoz with the vault, and Cachola looking as smooth and confident as ever on the balance beam.
We saw her do a standing layout step out, which takes a ton of leg strength, right into a leap pass, a switch leap connected, another skill that takes a ton of leg strength.
Opening double cut from San Jose. Quite a big step back, but just shows off how much power she has.
This is just a treat. There's so much good gymnastics happening right now.
It's great, I'm loving it. Round off 1.5 layout from San Jose's athlete on the floor. Pass, a ring switch half. Woo. A big 1.5. Looks like she did a hop forward roll out of it. Just a lot of extra power, but you saw how big it was. We're going into our last pass with San Jose on the floor. Bit of a touchdown on the double pike landing, but a hit landing nonetheless.
That was Catherine Waymiller with the floor routine for San Jose State. We head back over to the beam. Aubrey Schwartz, who competed on the bars earlier for Southern Utah and got a 9.85. And steps up on the beam, looking to respond after a fall last week.
Beautiful flick lay series by Aubrey Schwartz. It can always be hard going into a routine knowing that, you know, the last routine you did was a fall, but they do have that time to practice throughout the week, and you can tell that SUU has been drilling their beam practice this week. They look great so far. Beautiful beat jump into a standing layout step out. A split jump into a sheep jump. That's another difficult leap pass because in the middle of that sheep jump, you take your eyes off the beam for just a split second. Right into a gainer full. SU is 4 for 4 so far. They're having a great beam rotation coming back from these last few weeks.
Rachel Smith a 9.775, Cachola a 9.8, and Shai Murakami started things off with a 9.925. And now it's McPherson's turn up for her floor exercise.
Bringing the energy before this first pass. Round off back handspring double pike. Fairly open body. It was really big. And I believe this is the second time we've seen McPherson tonight. So keep in mind that going from one event to the next, there is a shift in mindset, and it takes a lot of mental strength to do that, and she's doing it very well tonight. Going into the second pass. Round off 1.5 front layout. Great control. Oh, that was very unique. I've not seen that before.
Up on beam, we have Haley Voltaggio, another senior and another veteran on the balance beam. Beautiful back handspring step out, layout step out from Haley Voltaggio.
McPherson finishing up her floor routine with a round off back handspring double back. Really solid routine for the Trojans.
And so now we'll turn to Voltaggio on the balance beam. And this is the most weighting that a team has had to do so far tonight. San Jose State is on the floor, Southern Utah is on the beam, but for Iowa, they're waiting patiently as the two longest rotations
Yep.
take place.
Haley's rounding up for her dismount. Round off 1.5. Just a tiny hop forward, but altogether a great routine from Haley. 5 for 5. So going into this last routine, Carly should feel real good.
That is Carly McLean, who will be up next. And someone who you're okay with having some added pressure on if you're Southern Utah. The talent she's got and her veteran status as well. But she won't be feeling that with Southern Utah having some strong cores. This is Jada Missouri, the Canadian senior for San Jose State.
First pass, front layout to the front 1.5. That's another skill on floor where you have to really get the right punch angle to complete that second skill. Beautiful leaps. I feel like at this point in the season, the biggest chance for deduction for a team can be those leap passes, but at this point, you can see really clean landings on all these leap passes from all these gymnasts tonight.
At this point in the season for any gymnast, it can feel easy to get into airplane mode, I should say. In gymnastics, you can, it's in your body, you can feel it, but you can't get in that habit because you just have to focus on the gymnastics you're doing and not let your body take over.
Definitely. Looks like she's doing a great job of that. Really clean landings on every pass she did. Solid routine.
And back over to the final gymnast for the third rotation in Southern Utah, and that is the graduate student Carly McLean. One of the best all-around gymnasts in the country this year.
Great series by Carly McLean. You can just see how tight and controlled and fierce she is on this event with how she lands things. She is exactly the person you want to end your beam lineup. Whether you have a fall or not, she is a great competitor.
Carly's been a staple in this beam lineup since she's a freshman, I believe, so it'll be interesting not to see her next year.
She has got some strong scores ahead of her. At 9.925 from Murakami, Aubrey Schwartz matched a season high individually with a 9.9.
Carly's had a great routine so far. Very few deductions going into her final dismount. Round off 1.5. Stuck landing for Carly McLean. That is 6 for 6 for the Flippin' Birds after a few weeks of having rough beam rotations, so they should feel so good after that rotation for sure.
That has to give them a confidence boost, and it should give them a scoreboard boost as well. Voltaggio a 9.75. We're not judges, but we can speculate. And we will await the score from the judges as we get set for one final performer in this third rotation. It's Jade Lopes at a 9.875 last week. Fourth time she's notched that mark in her career, the best she's had for the junior.
Trojans tonight.
Well, that should wrap things up for our third rotation. Henderson a 9.425. That's the score Iowa will drop over with their vault, and we will get you the final score from San Jose State's Jade Lopes when we come back. Carly McLean, though, on the beam, matches her career high with a 9.925 in Southern Utah. Looking good right now back at home, and we're back after this. It's a high-scoring bonanza here in Cedar City in a tri-meet between Iowa, San Jose State, and the host school Southern Utah. Spencer McLaughlin with you alongside Megan and Maddie McBride. Megan, we've been talking about it all night long for those just joining us. We've seen a lot of high-level gymnastics tonight, and it just seems to happen even more often when it's coming at the rate at which it has in this tri-meet.
Definitely. For those watching, it is kind of chaotic on the floor, but just all the gymnasts here tonight are just building off of the energy from every team, from the audience, from the teams that they're competing against, and you can see it that they're just at their peak right now at this point in season. We are just seeing a flurry of great gymnastics from every single team tonight, and it is such a joy to be here tonight and watching it.
Southern Utah is in the lead with a 49.2 or above in all three of their rotations so far. A 49.325 on the balance beam, a 49.225 on bars, and a 49.2 on the vault has got them sitting at 147.75. All of those scores surpassing the scores they put up against San Jose State in a dual meet last week. That was the second time they'd competed in 3 days, but San Jose State was dealing with the same thing, and they have been tremendously strong over the last couple of weeks. Spartans looking to end this rotation strong. Maddie, they've had some really nice moments as well, but so far haven't been able to consistently match Southern Utah and Iowa to this point.
Yeah, though they've had strong performances and they have recovered really well from their first rotation on bars, they've been hitting 8-13, but there have been little stumbles, and you know that happens at an away meet, especially with this being where it's a try. There's a lot going on. They've had to travel all this way, but they're hitting consistent gymnastics, and even if the scores are a little bit lower than they've expected from the meets before, they're still hitting their routines, and that's really what you want to do at every meet, regardless of where you are in the season.
San Jose State next week will be in their conference championships, the MPSF championships, the Mountain Pacific Sports Federation, with other schools that include Air Force, Alaska Anchorage, Sacramento State, and UC Davis. Iowa next week will be competing in the Big Ten championships. I presume I don't need to mention who they might be going up against. And Southern Utah in the MRGC, the Mountain Rim Gymnastics Conference, will be up against BYU, Boise State, and Utah State going into their conference championship next Saturday. And they will have that here at home, which is why it's arguably even more important for Southern Utah to have some momentum, because they've got 3 really good teams in their conference that will be here next week, but they've been really good on their home floor. They lost last time they were here to Boise State, but if they go out and finish in this 4th rotation and end with a high 196 or 197 score, that's exactly what Coach Bauman is looking for to end the regular season.
For sure. To come back from a home meet where you had a loss for the first time in a while to having scores a 49.2, a 49.225, and a 49.325, where they just continue to build throughout the night, ending on one of their top events of the season. You know, I think ending this meet tonight, regardless of how floor goes, I think they're going to feel really good going into the MRGC championships next week with a great home meet under their belt.
San Jose State did end with a pair of 9.8 plus scores from Missouri and Lopes, a 9.8 and a 9.875. So they come in just under that 49 number teams are always striving for, 48.925. Their second best score so far of the night. For Iowa, meanwhile, almost quietly on the vault because of how quickly it happens and everything, put up a 49.3 on what has been their strongest event of the season. They put up their second highest score on that event, and they got started really, really early there with Gianna Masella, who matched her career high.
That was such an impressive vault rotation. I hope you viewers caught it in between everything else that was going on, especially Masella's vault. That 9.9, it was seriously a textbook Yurchenko full, and to get that from a freshman, they've got a vaulter on their hands defense for the next 3 years, and they're going to be loving it. I'm excited to see what she does in the future.
And she's not the only one. Karina Munoz also had the 9.9, also matched a career high that she set a couple of weeks ago, and that was another score from a true freshman that is at 9.9 and above, and that's just a luxury for a head coach.
Yeah, to be in the top 25, as you said, with such a young team, they have got a very bright future ahead of them. And like I said, I'm excited to watch them because their gymnastics tonight has just been astounding.
Well, they come in as the 33rd best bars team in the country due to Hawkeyes of Iowa. That's been their weakest event consistently this year compared to the others. Southern Utah, meanwhile, moves to their strongest rotation in the floor routine. They've got some excellent floor workers, and we will get a look at them here tonight. San Jose State, for their final rotation, is over on the vault.
Up first, we have Haley Voltaggio with a huge double pike first pass. Great chest up on that landing and great control.
And that vault you saw from San Jose State was Michaela Gentry, her first vault in 3 weeks. The sophomore from Oklahoma City leading things off for Coach Bowers here in the final rotation.
Watch that unique pass from Voltaggio. She does a pass not in the diagonal, but sideways, which is very difficult because you need a lot of power to get that pass around.
Over on bars, we have Iowa State with their first bar routine of the night. Ended with a great blindfold double tuck dismount, great chest up landing, just a little hop, but altogether a great start for their bar lineup.
Voltaggio getting ready for the last pass. Down off back handspring double tuck. A little bit of a slide on that step, but huge double back to finish out.
It's a Missouri vault for San Jose State. Jada, Missouri, that is. And Voltaggio wraps up on floor.
She did a Yurchenko full-on back pike off, which is a 10-0 start value vault. She didn't quite get the blanc eagle she wanted on the vault, so she did have a little bit lower chest on that landing, but great vault by San Jose.
Now the Spartans this year have not had their strongest rotations consistently on the vault. They come in 41st in the country. It's more than 10 spots below nationally where each of their other events rank. So they would love to have a strong rotation here, and Gentry has started them off with a 9.8, and that is a season high for the sophomore.
And to end on vault is difficult because usually in dual meets, vault is always first or second. So to end on vault or after floor rotation, very difficult. Your legs are tired, but they've been doing great so far.
Gianna Masella had a career high on bars last week, delivers another strong showing there. Ellie Cachola up on floors for Southern Utah, and San Jose State, you just saw the vault of one Lord McPherson.
First pass for Ellie Cachola. Great double tuck. Beautiful control on that landing. You can tell she's just loving every second out there. Coach Scott Bauman smiling from the sidelines. Second pass, front full front layout, amazing control again. It's always great to have your teammates so close right there on the floor cheering you on.
Over on vault, we have a huge Yurchenko tucked 1.5. That is a 10-0 start value, difficult light landing, but you can see how much amplitude she got off of that vault table.
That was Madison Kirsch for San Jose State. Cachola with another strong pass for Southern Utah.
That was an outstanding floor routine from Ellie Cachola. Didn't see much wrong with it, honestly, so I'm looking forward to that score.
Over on bars, we see a huge Ginger right into a handstand bail.
And this is Marissa Rojas you're watching, the sophomore from Canton, Michigan.
A handstand right into a full-in double tuck. Usually you see a giant or two going into those dismounts, but she did it right out of the cast to handstand, which isn't something you see very often, and it's very difficult to execute. another great vault for San Jose State. A Yurchenko 1.5, great distance away from the vault table with just a slight hop forward, but that is a 10-0 start value, so that does give the gymnast an advantage over the gymnasts that do a Yurchenko full, which starts at a 9.95. So another great vault for San Jose.
That was just the third vault of the year for Jade Lotz, but they've both been strong to this point. Another good-looking one there, and Aubrey Schwartz, who's having an excellent night, gets things going on the floor again for Southern Utah.
Very difficult skill, an E-level skill, and she does it beautifully. Aubrey Schwartz floor routine is definitely one to be looked forward to.
Up on vault, we have a Yurchenko full, huge dynamic vault, great height off of the vault table with just a slight hop backwards.
Castrance rounds things up for the night for San Jose State.
Aubrey finishes up in floor routine. Front 1.5, back layout, step out, completing a remarkable routine.
Aubrey Schwartz has been a staple in the floor lineup for Scotty Bauman, and proving that her coach's faith in her is well worth it. And now Jerquavia Henderson, who delivered that sparkling floor routine earlier, is up on the bars.
She did have a slip off the bar on her high to low bar release, but she ends it with a great dismount, a full out on bars. So although that will count as a fall, she did get up gracefully and end the routine.
Henderson competing in the all-around, a fall there, just a 9.425 on her vault, but her other scores, a 9.925 on the beam, a 9.975 on that amazing floor routine. The senior from Peoria, Illinois, has been outstanding in 2 of the 4 events, competing the all-around once again for just the second time this year, but for the second straight week.
You can only imagine what her all-around score is when she's hitting her routines, because her gymnastics really is just amazing. And with falls that happens, but with a hit routine, those scores have got to be so high.
And this is a rare moment where there's not a gymnast competing actively at this point in time.
First time all night, I think.
I think my brain is taking a mental relaxation. And there's a look at Taylor Gohl up next for Southern Utah. A couple of good scores in front of her already on the floor. Schwartz and Conchola both with 9.875s.
Over on bars, we see a beautiful hop grip into a pike Jaeger. Very clean lines from this gymnast, and a little bit of pressure because the gymnast before her did have a fall. So it is imperative that the last 2 gymnasts on bars hit their routines. Beautiful free hip into a double layout dismount stuck. That was a great routine to bounce back from a fall for Iowa.
Taylor Gohl with a really big double pike first pass, going into her second, round off 1.5 split jump. Really fun combination there. Little crowd interaction. It's really impressive for Gohl to break into this floor lineup that is just full of upperclassmen, mostly seniors. She's really holding her ground and has most of the season.
She scored a 9.8 or above just once in her first 4 floor routines of the year, but has been peppering her stat sheet with those scores over the last month or so.
She did have a little rebound on that double tug. It looks like she might have put her hands down. This will count as a fall.
Now she's got 3 9.875s in front of her, and still Rachel Smith and Carly McLean to follow. So Gohl will need her teammates to pick her up, but they are doing that so far.
We have our last competitor up on bar. She did a beautiful Maloney right into a pack salto.
And this is Adeline Kenlin, 2021 Big Ten Freshman of the Year.
She went toe on right into a blind full. Looks like she came out of that double tuck a little bit too early. So she did take quite a big step forward, but really a genuinely clean routine otherwise.
She's already at a 9.95 on her balance beam and a 9.875 with her floor exercise. Karina Munoz in front of her just had the score pop in, and even 9.9 for Munoz, which sets a new career high. Iowa's young gymnasts. She becomes the 4th athlete tonight to set a career mark for a freshman. That is remarkable for the Hawkeyes.
It's so impressive.
And for a home meet this deep into, or for an away meet, excuse me, this deep in the season is just, that's awesome.
Karina Munoz has 3 scores of 9.9 here tonight, and they all set or tie her career high. She did not compete in the balance beam, but it does make you wonder.
I know, right? No, it really has been a joy to watch their gymnastics tonight.
Rachel Smith is up in a more traditional feel, where all eyes are on the 5th-year senior.
Rachel has a unique first pass. She does a ground back whip to a double back and doesn't touch her hands on the floor. Little step forward on that double tuck. Sit on her feet. That pass is really difficult because, again, you just have to get that right punch angle to get that double tuck around. Rachel just having fun down there. She's getting ready for her second and last pass. Punch front 1.5. A little short on that landing as well, but again, stayed on her feet.
So we have just one performance left, and it will be none other than Carly McLean on the floor. And she has been nothing short of exceptional all year long for Southern Utah. And Coach Bauman, after a couple of iffy routines there from Goal and Smith, where they had a couple of stumbles, really looking for his 5th-year senior to deliver.
Absolutely, and none other than Carly McLean to be in that role. For viewers who have been here watching Carly since her freshman year, she's just thrived on this event from the get-go. So it's just so fun to watch her take the floor because it really is her event.
She's chatting with her teammate Ruby Hernandez, another senior in this Southern Utah team. Always a good crowd here at the AFEC. And they are certainly ready for what's coming next Saturday, the MRGC Championships that they get to host and see in person right here in Cedar City. And we'll have it for you here on ESPN Plus as well. What should be an outstanding night of college gymnastics, as tonight has been as well.
Imagine it'll be a very packed house, which is exciting. Can't see it quite in this angle here, but you got the 2 opposing teams lined up on the other side of the floor watching the final competitor. That's why I love gymnastics. It's awesome. Opening double pike.
4 rotations in the books. The final scores tallied up when we come back. Welcome back to Cedar City, where an abundance of quality gymnastics is taking place tonight. As the scores currently stand, barring any challenges, it looks like Southern Utah will emerge victorious with a 196.9. Iowa in second with a 196.425. One of their better scores of the year, but they have been consistently in that 196 range this season and building up to the conference championships next week. Certainly a good place for Larissa Libby's team to be. San Jose State, a 195.425. The Spartans will fall to another team for the first time since the middle of January, which is astonishing to say how good things come to an end, but really it's about next week for San Jose State in the MPSF championships. And they have a lot of things to build on from their performance here tonight, but also a couple things that they can clean up.
Absolutely, and of course there's always amazing gymnastics you can take with you going into the next meet, which happens to be their conference championships. And you know, this might help a little, like get some fire in them and get ready to face their conference competitors with a little more gumption and wanting to hit all their routines, because they really have such amazing potential. Their gymnastics was awesome to watch tonight.
Carly McLean, one of the seniors being honored. She matched the season high tonight with a 39.475 in the all-around, highlighted by her 9.925 beam routine. Speaking of 9.925 beam routines, Shai Murakami had one tonight as well. Southern Utah has been really, really sharp all around tonight with a 196.9, one of their higher marks of the season. And Megan, that has to be something that Coach Bauman was really looking for with the conference championships right around the corner. It's all about momentum, and they had, you know, they were riding high for a while with those back-to-back 197s. Then they fell back a little bit, and now it feels like they've got their swagger back.
Yep, I think they definitely have their momentum back, you know, especially coming from a few meets where they were going in the lower 196, high 195 range with those falls on beam. To have one of their best beam rotations of the season, I think, hitting 6 for 6 with 2 scores above a 9.9. I think Scott Bauman should feel really good going into the conference championships next week, especially with them being here in the Centrum, in their home crowd, in their home arena. And I think the momentum they had tonight is just going to push them forward to next weekend for the championship.
Scotty Bauman in year 32 at the helm for the Southern Utah Gymnastics program, and he has seen a lot of talented gymnasts come through this program, both of yourselves included in that group, by the way. And gymnasts like Rachel Smith, Carly McLean, everyone being honored here tonight. They have been foundational pieces for this program over the last several years.
Definitely, and you know, you see all these fifth-year seniors having the opportunity to take one more year from the hard year that came because of the COVID-19 pandemic, and they have been, as you said, foundational to this team the last 4 or 5 years they've been here, and just building the program, taking it further and further, higher and higher in the rankings, and they should just be so proud of the careers that they've had and the legacy they've left with this team, because it really has been so remarkable.
Southern Utah came into this meet 22nd in NQS in the country. San Jose State 32nd, and Iowa in the middle at 24th. And that is how the scores are looking like they are going to play out here tonight. Again, 196.9 for Southern Utah, 196.425 for Iowa as they eclipse that 196 threshold yet again this year. At San Jose State, a 195.425. But senior festivities well underway. We'll wrap this one up and more when we come back. Nikki Thomas, the latest senior, followed by Haley Voltaggio, to be honored here on senior night. Southern Utah will be back in this gym next Saturday for the MRGC Championships as they close out the regular season with a win in the tri-meet here against Iowa and San Jose State. As we welcome you back inside the AFEX, Spencer McLaughlin with you, joined by Megan and Maddie McBride. And Southern Utah was looking for some momentum. They certainly found it, and now paying homage to a fantastic group of seniors. But now it really is all eyes on the conference championships next week as they look to make it another regional appearance. Would be their 10th in a row.
Definitely, and I mean, getting that momentum back with this 196.9 will knock out their lowest home score, their lowest high home score of 196.1 to hopefully increase their NQS going into the regional competition.
That's what Southern Utah is hoping for. For San Jose State, meanwhile, they look ahead to the MPSF, that's the Mountain Pacific Sports Federation Championships next week with Air Force, Alaska Anchorage, Sac State, and UC Davis. And the Spartans had some really good moments tonight. Kyra Cato, one of the young freshmen that we highlighted really all night long. Iowa had some tremendous first-year gymnasts tonight as well, but Kyra Cato, the 9.9 with her beam routine, she was really, really good. And one of many phenomenal routines we saw tonight.
Definitely, and especially on an event where they had to follow a fall, to see that high of a score from such a young athlete for the San Jose State team, you know, it's such a great thing to see from young gymnasts, and especially for the coaches, knowing that they have that amount of talent from the young girls to continue as they go to be sophomores, juniors, seniors, as they say goodbye to their seniors this year.
Jade Lopes also had a couple of excellent performances tonight for the Spartans and Coach Bowers, but really the individual highlight, at least for one singular event, came from Jaquavia Henderson of Iowa. That floor routine, a 9.975. Fourth time she's notched a 9.975 on the floor in her career. Simply remarkable, and she earned every ounce of that score.
Oh, she absolutely did. Like I said before, I hope you were all watching because that was spectacular gymnastics. We were rooting for the 10 up here. Like you said, we're not judges, but if we were, I don't know, we might have seen the 10 here tonight. Seriously amazing gymnastics.
Karina Munoz had a trio of 9.9s tonight for Iowa as well. Carly McLean will win the all-around with a 39.475. But let's take it now to the PA announcer now, ready to announce the scores and the winners for each event here tonight in Cedar City. Looks like they're still getting things situated. Now tallying up all the final scores.
First on the vault, in a three-way tie for first place, all with 9.9s. From Iowa, Karina Munoz, Gianna Masella, and from SUU, Caitlin Coe. On the uneven parallel bars, also a three-way tie for first place, all scoring 9.9s. From San Jose State, Lauren McPherson. From Iowa, Karina Munoz. And from SUU, Shailin Murakami. Results on the balance beam. A three-way tie for second place with 9.925. From Iowa, Jaquavia Hernandez. From Southern Utah, Carly McLean. Also from SUU, Shailin Murakami. And in first place with a 9.95 from Iowa, Adeline Kenlin. In the floor exercise, we have a six-way tie for third place. All of 9.875s from San Jose State, Jada Missouri. From Iowa, Adeline Kenlin. From SUU, Carly McLean. From SUU, Aubrey Schwartz. From SUU, Ellie Cachola. Also from SUU, Haley Voltaggio. In second place on the floor with a 9.9 from Iowa, Karina Munoz. And your floor exercise winner with a 9.975 from Iowa, Jaquavia Hernandez. With the finals in the all-around. In the third place, scoring a 38.475 from Iowa, Jaquavia Hernandez. In second place, scoring 39.125 from San Jose, Lauren McPherson. And your all-around winner with a 39.475 from SUU, Carly McLean. On team standings, in third place, scoring 195.425, San Jose State. In second place with 196.425, Iowa. And your winners for the week with a 196.900, Southern Utah.
Fans in Cedar City tonight going home happy. That'll do it for us, for our entire production team and my color analysts Megan and Manny McBride. I'm Spencer McLaughlin saying so long. This has been a production of ESPN. All games, meets, and events streaming live or archived in the ESPN app. Final score, San Jose State in third in the tri-meet here in Cedar City with a 1-9.